Hi Sarah. Okay, hi Kaylee Allison. Good. First of all, thanks very much for getting involved with this training. By the way, my name's Paul McAvoy. I've been a teacher for 5 years now, and my specialism is PE. My current role at the school I'm working at now, it's a secondary school, an academy called the Oasis Academy. It's based in Oldham, and it's part of the largest academy chain in the country. My current role is as professional mentor, and I have a lead for teaching and learning in our school, so I organise the CPD programme for all of our staff. I've recently also just been nominated as an SLE, which is Specialist Leader in Education, and part of that role will mean outreach into other academies and schools to support their teaching and learning too. Um, the session I'm going to deliver to this evening is called Whole Class Response Systems, and it came off the back of a lot of work I've been doing over the last 2-3 years really, and I've delivered sessions at a couple of teach meets in the northwest, and with a lot of success really, and that's how I came to sort of deliver this session today regarding whole class response systems. So what I'll do now is I'll talk you through the outline of the session, but we just want to start with a few introductions from yourselves really. If you could just type in the corner, we've got your name anyway, just to give a little bit of detail about your role within the school and what you hope to gain from this training, and hopefully then I can cater some of the information later on towards your context and hopefully have more of an impact. Okay, well, luckily enough, hopefully I can sort of meet those needs throughout the session, because it really is a lot about capturing the learning very quickly and easily in a class, and it's all based through assessment for learning. And there's definitely plenty of ideas for you to pick up throughout the session. So the outline really of the session, we're going to start off really and just look at what whole class response systems are. Then we're going to look closely at and understanding the climate that we need to ensure that whole class response systems are really embedded in the fabric of your classroom. And then alongside the new ideas really, we're going to look at lots of different whole class response systems that I've used in my classroom and that I've picked over the years that have a really good impact with my students. Um, Hopefully what you're getting from that are plenty of ideas that you can transfer straight across into your classroom and into your context. And while I'm going through the session, what I really want you to do, I don't profess to be the font of all knowledge and have all the answers to all the solutions in classrooms. What I want you to do as the session goes on is really think about how you can apply the knowledge from this session into your context, because that way you can gain numerous ideas and have more impact with your students. So that's the outline of the session. We'll be here for about an hour and 30 minutes just talking through that really. Okay. If you have any questions throughout the session, just pop them in the chat in the corner. And throughout the session, I'm going to be pausing just to have moments of reflection. You should have received the documents via email that we're going to use really just to reflect upon the session as we go along. Can you just put in the text box in the corner if you've got that document electronically? It's a Word document. Right, okay. If you could just have that open in the background so that we can just click it open and just use it to type on. Just a really simple document just for us to reflect as we go on. Right, that's great news. Right, so the outline of the session, we're going to look at what whole class response systems are and why we use them. Then we're going to look at the climate and the mindset needed by both students and teachers in order for them to be more effective in a classroom. And then we're going to look at what the actual response systems are, and then at the end of the session we're going to look at the next steps and further beyond. Just want to start with really, because this is where a lot of this came from with myself in my own classroom, and I'm a great believer in reflecting on teaching and always thinking about how we can be better. And I honestly believe that that's the difference between effective and successful teachers and teachers who are really learning their way with their students is really the power of reflecting and trying to improve constantly. And quite often in our school, I encourage our staff to constantly reflect, work with the peers, be critical and evaluate, and day by day, hopefully we can improve, and overall that can have a really big impact on our teaching and ultimately have a really big impact on the learning of our students. And through reflection, really, I came up with whole.
Paul, your mic's just gone off.
Sorry, technology, eh? I don't know why it's gone off. We're back in online anyway. What I really want to start off with doing, just really for a few minutes, is sort of just discussing, because this came out of a lot of reflection for myself, is just discussing your own classroom and thinking about you and your context. Um, so I've just got a couple of questions, and if you could just sort of just put your opinion and your ideas in the chat corner. And the first question I really want to ask is, as a teacher in your classroom, what are some of the ways that you check the learning of your students? So just put down maybe one, maybe two idea or ways that you check the learning of your students. Okay, thanks, Kaylee. Right, great. And it's good to hear that actually, because they really are the essence of what the whole class response systems are all about. The next question I've got really is, how do you as a teacher know how well the class is learning? Right, grand, it's good that we said that as well. So really, the point I'm trying to get at really is that it's so important that we check the learning of our students, and we must always be in fine tune with them. And quite often, we use lots of different strategies, but it becomes a little bit of a pitfall. And when I reflected on my own teaching, I was doing these little strategies, but wasn't really understanding where the students were at and what the next step in their learning was, and really reacting to their learning. And I think it's so important. And assessment for learning has to be a really important part of the classroom and what we do, and make it an everyday part of the culture of our classroom. I want you to sort of think about putting yourself now as an observer in your classroom. And as an observer, obviously they're just walking into a classroom and they're seeing your students learning. Do you feel that as an observer coming in, they would have a really good understanding of where your students are at just by looking and sitting back? How effective would they be able to make their judgments on your students' learning? Right, okay. And the reason I asked that question because in my role, like quite often,